Hello, hope you're having an absolutely great day. In today's video, we are going to be exploring the effective strategies to parachute deployment in Warzone, how to avoid getting shot down in the air, and the best way to not get downed on impact. If you enjoy any parts of the video, I encourage you to let me know by tossing a like on it, and if you'd like to stay up to date on all things Call of Duty and Warzone, feel free to subscribe and click that notification bell. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. If you look at the current Verdansk and Rebirth Island map within Warzone, you will notice the map breakdown up into squares on a grid labeled A through J horizontally at the top and 0 through 9 vertically going down. These squares are about 375 meters by 375 meters on the Warzone map. Now onto the big bestie of a plane that is dropping you in. As we know, this plane flies you and 150 soldiers and 40 soldiers on Rebirth Island packed into a cargo plane where you are all magically friends and off to drop instantly and then become enemies. Personally, I think it would be more sweet to have your squad roll in on their own plane into a match, as this would functionally make sense in a warlike scenario. But I get it, it's a video game, I digress. This plane flies about 75 meters per second and 500 meters above sea level. Now, of course, this can vary depending on where you're dropping, whether it's into mountains or onto a building, as this height on the drop zone of the map will change the time in which it takes you to land. Now let's get into a few dropping methods. The first method while dropping out of the plane is to glide all the way to your desired destination. So once you jump out of the plane, you are deploying your parachute and gliding until your feet are on the ground, without cutting your parachute and redeploying it. Using this method, you are able to travel around 15 meters per second. So what's the farthest you can travel using this method? Across the map, you can travel around 3,600 meters or 3.6 kilometers. Now within Verdansk, the map is about 2.8 kilometers by 2.8 kilometers. So there's plenty of flex room there. And with Rebirth Island being quite a smaller map, we could be seeing a larger map put this 3.6 kilometer drop room to the test. Using this strategy, it will probably take you a minute and a half to get your feet on the ground. And in this time, other players could be on the ground looting and eliminating opponents. But this could also provide you with an opportunity to have more buildings to loot in peace before combat with other squads. The second method is fairly straightforward, in which you drop out of the plane and you are trying to use as much velocity as you can without opening your parachute to get you as far as possible. You are not necessarily dropping straight down, but you are trying to get as far a distance as possible. This is an effective method for the Rebirth Island map, but can also be great in Verdansk depending on where the plane's direction is and where you are looking to land. When you do this, you are traveling at about 40 meters per second. And depending on where you are situated on the map from dropping out of the plane, you should be able to travel 1 to 1.5 squares traveling this way. So this is going to be the best strategy if you're trying to drop into a zone that is in the flight path of the plane or about a square or square and a half away. Now what's important to note here is again that you will be traveling at 40 meters per second while dropping, while the plane will be traveling at 75 meters per second, moving at a horizontal velocity. So generally speaking, you're going to want to stick with the plane for as long as possible, as the plane will give you an extra velocity boost if you're landing closer to your zone. What I mean by this is that for someone dropping farther away, they are going to be losing speed in the area, but if you stay in the plane longer, you'll be able to utilize the faster speed of the plane in your drop. So the ideal drop area being about 1 to 1.5 squares from your desired drop area. And by doing this, you'll have a faster chance at reaching the ground than someone who drops directly over a landing area. The third drop method is a bit of a blend between the two previously mentioned, and is something you can see used quite a bit within Warzone. In this method, you deploy your parachute right away and then free fall, catching a bit of velocity. Then pull your parachute, evaluate who is around you and how close they are, then cut again and pull your parachute several times to check out who is landing where you want to land, giving yourself a precise, steady location to get your boots on the ground. Now, of course, with this method, there is flexibility on how long you freefall and how long you are gliding in air. Now, for example's sake, we will assume that you are cutting and pulling your parachute in a linear method using your vertical velocity meter, which is displayed on the right-hand side. When this meter hits around 40 meters per second is when you pull your parachute. This way you are picking up the optimal velocity in freefall, while also being able to control your direction a little easier. With this method, you are able to travel around 3 to 3.5 squares on the map. This method will also often get you to the area you are looking to drop as fast as you are hitting the optimal velocity speed of 40 meters per second. Now, if you're looking to land within 1 to 3 squares on the map, or past 3 squares, there's going to be needed adjustments made on the fly depending on where you want to drop. Something you do want to keep in mind is dropping as close to the ground as possible. In this game, you can drop unbelievably close to the ground, cutting your velocity immediately. While doing this, you are also able to drop fast to the ground and begin looting. I recommend pulling your parachute around 10 meters before hitting the ground, but you can play around with it and figure out what method works best for you. I find dropping at this distance for me, getting my boots on the ground quickly, while also not staying in the air too long, disallowing time for others to loot up faster or shoot at me before any gunfights right off the start. Just another point on getting shot in the air and the optimal strategy for avoiding getting downed while parachuting. If you find yourself in a situation in which someone is trying to take you out and is shooting you mid-air, do not cut your parachute and continue to fall. This is because this allows whoever is behind you to also free fall and get closer in your direction. The best thing you can do is simply continue to parachute and glide yourself up. So while whoever is behind you is shooting, they continue to fall down lower, putting distance between you and the shooter, and allowing you to glide in with a little more peace of mind. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you feel you gained some insight. Let me know in the comments below if you hit that subscribe button with your most effective parachute strategy and your favorite place to drop. And that concludes everything on how to deploy your chute effectively in Warzone. See you in the next video. As always, take it easy and have a wonderful day.